Europe, from the 14th to the 16th centuries. A continent ablaze not with war but with the fire of human ingenuity. This was the Renaissance. Think of it as humanity's audacious adolescence, a time of testing boundaries, questioning old dogmas and birthing ideas that would shape the modern world. In Florence, the Medicis weren't just bankers, they were patrons of Michelangelo, commissioning masterpieces that still take our breath away. In England, a playwright named Shakespeare crafted words so potent they echo through the ages. And in a workshop in Poland, Copernicus dared to suggest the Earth wasn't the center of the universe, a notion that shook the very foundations of faith and understanding. But all eras, no matter how luminous, have their twilight. And so it was with the Renaissance. By the late 16th century, the vibrant colors of this cultural tapestry began to fade. The spirit of inquiry that had propelled the Age of Discovery started to wane. The bustling city-states, once hubs of innovation, grew quiet. The echoes of laughter and debate in the academies were replaced by a different sound, the ominous drumbeat of change. What happened? Why did this era of unparalleled human achievement lose its momentum? Was it a single cataclysmic event or a series of subtle shifts? Was it the work of individuals or the inexorable march of time itself? The answers, my friends, are not simple. They lie buried in the annals of history, hidden in plain sight. But together we shall excavate them. We'll delve into the lives of monarchs and merchants, artists and explorers to understand the complex forces that brought about the end of the Renaissance. And in doing so, we might just glean some wisdom for our own uncertain times. To understand the why of the Renaissance's decline, we must first meet the who, not just the artists and thinkers we celebrate, but the kings, queens, popes and power brokers who shaped the era's destiny. Consider Pope Julius II, the warrior pope. A patron of Michelangelo, yes, but also a man who led armies into battle, his ambition as vast as the Sistine Chapel ceiling he commissioned. His reign, while fueling artistic endeavors, also plunged Italy into conflict, setting the stage for the Italian wars that would ravage the peninsula. Then there's the enigmatic figure of Martin Luther, a German monk whose challenge to the Catholic Church ignited the Protestant Reformation. While this movement spurred intellectual debate and challenged authority, it also fractured Europe's religious unity, leading to decades of bloody conflict that drained resources and diverted attention from the arts and sciences. We mustn't forget the monarchs. Henry VIII of England, obsessed with securing a male heir, severed ties with Rome and created the Church of England, further fragmenting Christendom. His daughter Elizabeth I, though a shrewd ruler and patron of the arts, faced threats from Catholic powers like Spain, leading to costly wars and a climate of uncertainty. Meanwhile, in the New World, the Spanish conquistadors, driven by gold and glory, toppled ancient empires, reshaping global trade routes and shifting the economic balance of power. This influx of wealth, while enriching some European nations, also fueled inflation and social unrest, contributing to the instability of the late Renaissance. These are just a few of the key figures who strode across the stage of the Renaissance, their actions rippling through time. Their motivations were as varied as the hues on a painter's palette: power, faith, wealth, legacy. But their collective impact was undeniable. They set in motion a series of events that would ultimately extinguish the Renaissance's bright flame. As we enter the late 16th century, the vibrant tapestry of the Renaissance begins to fray. The year 1517 marks a crucial turning point as Martin Luther nails his 95 Theses to the door of All Saints' Church in Wittenberg, igniting the Protestant Reformation. This event, coupled with economic shifts, political centralization, and emerging scientific thought, sets the stage for profound changes across Europe. The 30 Years' War from 1618 to 1648 was a brutal conflict that engulfed much of the continent. It wasn't just Catholics versus Protestants, it was a tangled web of alliances and ambitions, with political and economic factors fueling the flames. This protracted war drained resources, devastated cities, and created an atmosphere of fear and instability. Simultaneously, the economic landscape was shifting. The once mighty Italian city-states, weakened by war and political infighting, lost their dominance in trade and finance. The center of economic gravity moved westward towards the burgeoning empires of Spain and Portugal, who were amassing wealth from their colonies in the New World. This shift disrupted established trade routes, causing economic hardship for many and widening the gap between rich and poor. The printing press, that marvel of the Renaissance, ironically played a role in its downfall. While it had initially spread knowledge and fueled intellectual debate, it also became a tool for propaganda and misinformation. Religious tracts and political pamphlets flooded the market, exacerbating tensions and fueling conflict. As the 17th century dawned, a new intellectual movement known as the Scientific Revolution began to challenge the Renaissance's emphasis on classical learning. Thinkers like Galileo Galilei and Isaac Newton questioned the ancient authorities, championing observation and experimentation as the path to truth. While this ultimately led to groundbreaking discoveries, it also undermined the Renaissance's reverence for tradition and classical knowledge. These factors, like dark threads woven into a tapestry, gradually obscured the bright colors of the Renaissance. The optimism and spirit of inquiry that had characterized the era gave way to a more cautious, even cynical outlook. The world was becoming a more complex, uncertain place, and the simple answers of the past no longer seemed sufficient. The transition from the Renaissance to the Baroque era, roughly spanning from 1580 to 1630, was marked by competing cultural movements. While Michelangelo was completing his final works, new artistic styles like mannerism were emerging. Simultaneously, the scientific method was taking shape, with figures like Galileo challenging long-held beliefs about the universe. Let's examine a few more of the factors that contributed to this cultural sunset. The Black Death, which ravaged Europe in the 14th century, left a lasting scar. While it initially sparked a renewed appreciation for life and creativity, it also decimated populations, disrupted trade, and led to a shortage of skilled labor. This had long-term economic consequences, hindering the growth and prosperity that had fueled the Renaissance. Another significant factor was the rise of centralized monarchies. As kings and queens consolidated their power, they often sought to control artistic expression and intellectual inquiry. This stifling of creativity and dissent dampened the spirit of innovation that had flourished during the Renaissance. The Counter-Reformation, a movement within the Catholic Church to combat the spread of Protestantism, further restricted artistic and intellectual freedom. The Inquisition, established to root out heresy, cast a long shadow over Europe, suppressing dissenting voices and discouraging the open exchange of ideas. Additionally, the Renaissance's emphasis on humanism, with its focus on individual potential and earthly achievements, gradually gave way to a renewed emphasis on spirituality and religious devotion. This shift in values, while not inherently negative, contributed to a decline in interest in the arts and sciences as resources and energy were directed towards religious pursuits. Even the climate played a role. The Little Ice Age, a period of cooler temperatures that began in the 16th century, led to crop failures, famine, and social unrest. This further destabilized the already fragile political and economic landscape of Europe, making it difficult for the arts and sciences to thrive. The Renaissance's decline was hastened by a perfect storm of events. The 30 Years' War, beginning in 1618, devastated Central Europe, with some regions losing up to 60% of their population. Economically, the influx of New World silver caused widespread inflation, with prices in England rising 700% between 1500 and 1640. Intellectually, the printing press, which had initially spread Renaissance ideas, now disseminated over 200 million books by 1600, many challenging traditional thought. These factors, among others, gradually transformed the cultural landscape of Europe. It was a slow burn, not a sudden collapse, with each factor contributing to the gradual erosion of the Renaissance's vibrant spirit. The Renaissance, like all golden ages, was not destined to last forever, but its legacy endures. The art, literature, and scientific discoveries of this era continue to inspire and challenge us, and perhaps by understanding the forces that led to its decline, we can gain valuable insights into the challenges and opportunities of our own time. The Renaissance may have ended, but its legacy reverberates through the corridors of time. It was a period that irrevocably altered the course of human history, shaping our understanding of art, science, politics, and even ourselves. The Renaissance masters left behind a treasure trove of masterpieces that continue to inspire and captivate. From the Sistine Chapel ceiling to the Mona Lisa's enigmatic smile, their works remind us of the boundless potential of human creativity. The scientific revolution, though it challenged some Renaissance ideals, ultimately built upon its foundation of inquiry and exploration. The discoveries of Galileo, Newton, and countless others paved the way for modern science and technology, transforming our world in ways the Renaissance thinkers could only have dreamed of. Even the political and religious upheavals of the era, while causing immense suffering, ultimately led to greater religious freedom, the rise of nation-states, and the development of new forms of governance. The seeds of democracy sown during the Renaissance would eventually bear fruit in the centuries to come. The Renaissance, then, was not just an era, it was a catalyst. It sparked a chain reaction of ideas and events that continue to shape our world today. By studying the Renaissance's rise and fall, we're not just peering into the past, we're holding up a mirror to our own time. The forces that shaped that era, technological revolution, globalization, shifts in power, are eerily familiar today. As we conclude this journey through history, I invite you to reflect on the lessons of the Renaissance. As we stand on the brink of AI, space exploration, and genetic engineering, the Renaissance reminds us periods of extraordinary human achievement are possible, but they're also fragile. The question is, are we at the dawn of a new Renaissance, or are we repeating the mistakes that led to its decline? Thank you for joining me on this exploration of the past. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to our channel for more fascinating journeys through history.